All right, I asked a bunch of viewers to link me their op.gg so I could review them and potentially roast them if I see something that's worth roasting. These are all the people that sent them in. Let's get started. First up, we have Guppy Gap, Bronze 1 player, 52% win rate. First things first, you just don't have enough games on the season. There's kind of going to be a pattern to me reviewing everything. I'll probably look at how many games you've played on the season. I'll probably take a look at your champion pool and then might break down a couple of the games that you've played recently. But first thing I'm always going to look at is how many games you've played recently. You were Silver 3 last season. You could probably get back to Silver pretty easily. You just haven't played enough games. That would be my main piece of advice. Not going to dive too much into the champion pool or the picks here because I'm a support main. So I can't give too much advice when it comes to that. I'll scroll through real quick to see if there's any support gameplay. And I'm not really seeing a whole lot other than this Thresh mid-game in Flex Q recently where you went AP and built Everfrost. So can't give you a whole lot of advice because you're trolling and running it down in Flex. But you're also a mid lane main. So my main piece of advice, just play more games. Next up, the Augury. We got a Silver 1 support player. Over 100 games on the season, 52% win rate. Pretty respectable. I would say that's a good amount of games so far. You're only a little bit away from your final rank last season. So you should get there if you continue to play enough games. We'll take a look at your champion pool. I think maybe you're playing a bit too much. I don't recommend following in my footsteps because I play a lot of different champions for content, which isn't always ideal. If you're looking to climb, you should narrow down your champion pool. I think 2 to 4 champions is kind of what I would recommend for the most part. Xerath support is not one that I would typically recommend, but anytime I see someone who's popping off and has 30 games and a 63% win rate on a specific champion, obviously you know something that I don't, and it's working for you. So continue to do that. And it's also a champion that has a lot of carry potential as a support, which is not something you always get. So I think you keep Xerath in your champion pool. Nami, I don't love in low elo. I think it's very team reliant, so you can potentially drop this one off if you need. Zyra and Brand, especially for lower ranked players that are looking to climb, I think you don't need to play both of these champions. They kind of, excuse me, accomplish the same thing. And I think Zyra is just a little bit easier to pilot. She's a little bit safer, doesn't die as often. So I would maybe keep Zyra in your champion pool. Thresh, I don't recommend for lower ranked players, and I'll do a little bit of a detour here just to show you why. Let's go to all ranks, okay, and we'll look at Thresh. He's at a 50% win rate right now, which is actually much higher than he usually is, and that's a result of the direct buffs he got recently. Let's look at maybe Iron. How's Thresh doing in Iron? Let's search him up real quick. Thresh has a 45% win rate in Iron. And then if you look at like D2+, he's going to have a 52% win rate, almost 53. So as you can see, Thresh just gets better and better the higher rank you go. And that's just basically a very nice way of saying he's a difficult champion to play. So I don't recommend playing him in lower ranks just because you won't be able to play him to his fullest potential. I think if you are going to keep an enchanter in your champion pool, Nami's probably fine then. So I would recommend you stick to Xerath, Nami, and Zyra. That's a solid champion pool. We can scroll down here just to maybe nitpick on one of your builds recently. Off the top of my head, I have been playing some Thresh recently. I think Mobies is probably the go-to. I think Locket is the go-to. I don't think you should be building Thornmail on Thresh, especially in a game like this. Like maybe I could see an excuse to go Thornmail on Thresh if they're like full AD with a bunch of ADCs on their team for some reason, but this isn't an example to do that. So I would like to see Mobies here. Mobies, Locket into like Zeke's or something like that. Don't think this is the correct build path. Other than that, I think that kind of wraps it up for you. I think we spent enough time here. Good luck on the climb. Jhin support only. Oh man, is this? Yeah, this is what I think it is. I unfortunately, like as much as I want to flame you for literally only playing Jhin support, I can't contradict myself. I just told this guy, hey, if you got 30 games played and a 63% win rate, keep playing your thing, or keep doing your thing. Obviously, you know something that I don't. 52 games played and 60% win rate on Jhin, even though you're running it down with dying 6 times a game. Somehow you're making this work, which if we go back to a game I played earlier today, a little bit of a detour once again. Obviously, you know something I don't because I tried it, and look how it went for me. So, not going to spend too much time here. Keep doing your thing, man. Proud of you. Good luck on the climb. Up next, Amato Yoshi, bronze 3 player, over 160 games on the season, 50%. So you're right in the mix. I think the main thing that I will instantly look at is you have a 50% win rate, but I'm looking at your top 2 most played champions, and it's 62% and it's 55%. So if I were to just look at these 2 champions, I would immediately think your win rate is a lot higher. The reason it's a lot lower is because you're playing way too many champions, and you're playing champions that you're struggling on. So narrow down your champion pool. I guess I would even say, like earlier, I told someone you don't need to accomplish, or you don't need to play 2 champions that accomplish the same thing in lower elos. Just stick to your Lux. Your Lux is working. Your brand has been good so far, but I don't think you necessarily need to keep playing it. If you find a good matchup where you actually prefer one over the other, that is fine. I would not recommend Karma. She's a high elo champion. She has a very low win rate for a reason, but some high elo players make her work. I would not recommend playing Karma. Leona is okay. I would recommend picking up a different tank support. I think having a tank support in your champion pool could be pretty important. But Leona just seems to be outclassed by a lot of them. So maybe Rakan, Nautilus, Alistar, one of those kind of guys. I would drop the Ashe, and I guess you can keep the Lulu in your champion pool just if you need an enchanter. So like Lux, Lulu, different tank support. I think that's pretty good. Your Lux has been working pretty well for you. Let's look real quick at one of your recent games. As far as the build goes, this all seems pretty normal. Not seeing anything crazy there. As a support, you can rush tier 2 boots. Here, you probably had to because you spent 850 gold. So you probably, actually, you know what? Yeah, if you're in this situation, I would have just bought the Blasting Wand instead. I don't think you need to rush tier 2 boots. I do like getting tier 2 boots early as a support, but that's specifically when I'm playing champions that can roam. Lux is going to be a lane dominant support, not one that's looking to roam a lot. So just a Blasting Wand overall, I would just tell you put less emphasize the tier 2 boots a little bit less. Oh wait, this is 1100 gold. What am I thinking? That's right, because it's 800 after tier 1. Still, yeah, I would probably not rush boots this early. Good call in the chat though. Yeah, overall champion pool, I would make some adjustments. The Lux has been working well for you. If you just take out some of the champions that you've been struggling a lot on, you should be climbing, because 50% does not align with what I'm seeing here. You're just playing too many champions and kind of setting yourself back a little bit. Up next, Foley AS. Silver 2 player, 120-ish games on the season, 49% win rate. You know what, my man? I do not blame you, because I am in Master and I have a 47% win rate. So it's been a tough season for you and I both. A lot of champions, big champion pool. If you've had 120 games on the season, I think your most played champion should probably have more than 18. So that is one thing. Another thing I'll tell you, I hate to say it because I kind of consider myself to be a bit of a KDA player at times. But if your KDAs look like this, your win rate should not look like this. Usually KDAs that are glowing red like this indicate someone who's on a Smurf account and just pissing on everybody. This indicates to me that you're playing a bit too safe. So I encourage you to play a little bit more aggro. And another reason that I kind of lean that direction is looking at your champions. You don't have a lot of super aggressive champions other than maybe Nautilus. Nautilus is a champion that goes in and plays pretty aggressive. So I think your play style is just not super aggressive, and that's okay. I kind of am the same way sometimes. I would just narrow down your champion pool. And it's hard for me to say, really, because you've played so many different champions. Your KDAs look great on all these champions. Your win rates look good on all these champions. So I can't tell you myself which ones I would necessarily focus on. You probably can answer that question a little bit better for yourself, because you probably know which champions you're more comfortable on than others. I will just repeat the same things as before. Karma, Thresh, 2 champions I probably wouldn't have in your champion pool as a silver player. Don't think you need to be playing Ashe. Ivern is probably your off-roll jungler. Maybe like Bard, Nautilus, and then some kind of enchanter. Maybe the Lulu is something you're working on. That would probably be my recommendation there. We'll take a quick look at a recent Rakan game of yours. We'll check out the runes. We'll check out the build. Boots, Thornmail early. Never. Shirelias should be your rush every single game on Rakan. You can go Chemtech after, you can go Zeke's after, you can go Redemption, depending on what your team needs. Thornmail is not the move. Again, maybe they had a bunch of AD champions on your team, but no, that wasn't even necessarily the case. So, second time we've seen someone rushing Thornmail, or actually this time you didn't get the full item, you just got the Bramble, but still, I don't love that. I would rush Boots before that. I would rush your Shirelias. I also think just get CDR Boots. You kind of have this mindset with this build that as Rakan, you're going to be in the middle of fights getting auto attacked a lot. And so you want to have reduced damage with the Bramble and with the steel caps. That's a good logic if you're playing an actual tank. Rakan engages, but he's not a tank. Your goal as Rakan is to go in and out of fights. So you shouldn't actually be in the middle of fights taking a lot of damage and soaking up a lot of auto attacks. So you don't need to go this direction. CDR boots, lower haste, just means you go in and out of fights quicker. You don't need Bramble, you don't need steel caps. Other than that, everything else looks pretty good. We will move on to Margin. Gold 3 player, but only 16 games on the season. So you still have a long way to go. You could probably easily get back to Gold 1 if you just play more games, if you're already starting the season at Gold 3. You could probably make your way to Platinum this season. I believe in you. Not a whole lot to go off of here as far as like the champion pool and stuff like that. But we'll just quickly go over what looks good here. Maybe the Thresh game. I've been playing some Thresh lately, so my knowledge of Thresh is a little bit higher than it might have been in the past. Let's see. Boots here look fine. Locket Rush looks fine. Runes all look pretty spiffy. You went Crucible. Let's see. Was this a good game to go Crucible? I guess they do have like the Lux binding, but Lux isn't a huge issue. I think the Crucible is a bit forced here. Don't overthink things. If something isn't screaming at you to buy that item, you could probably just build like more of a standard build. Overall, not a whole lot to work with here. Only 16 games on the season. I think you can get back to plat if you just put in the time, the effort, and play enough games. Moving on here, we got a lot to go through, so I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. The Chinese Baguettes, Gold 1 player, just above 60 games on the season. Looks like a bit of a tank player. We see some Galio, we see some Nautilus, Alistar, Amumu. Rakan is a champion. I think you should try to play Rakan a lot more. I'm not just saying that because I am a biased Rakan enjoyer myself, but he's also just really, really strong at the moment. Galio, you've had some success with him, but he... Actually, are you playing him mid lane? Maybe that's why you have some Galio. Okay, I was going to say, Galio support is not really meta anymore, but maybe you're playing him when you're playing mid. Wait, you're playing a lot of these champions mid. You also played Alistar mid the other day. So maybe you're forfunning just a wee bit. You have had some success in these games. A lot more success than I would actually expect. But for the most part, if you really do care about climbing, if you want to get back to Platinum, maybe try to get to Diamond. 60 games is not going to cut it. You're going to have to put more time in, and this win rate will go up if you play less for fun and take it a little bit more serious. Your champion pool is all over the place. You're juggling multiple roles. You're playing some champions seriously. You're also for funning some. Overall, just narrow things down, make things simpler. It's better to be great at a few champions than to be good at a lot of them. So that would be my advice to you. Up next, the Defender of Horny. Love the name, my man. You are kind of crushing it. This looks like a boosted account. Silver 4 last season, like 60, 70 games on the season, 65% win rate. These, like I said earlier, when you see KDAs that look like this, you expect it to be a Smurf account. This is looking like a Smurf account, my man. I don't know what to tell you. You're playing a lot of champions, and that's probably because you're playing in a lower rank than you actually are, and so you can afford to do this. I don't have a whole lot of advice for you, my man. Whatever you're doing right now is working. You just got to keep doing that same thing. 65% win rate, Gold 4, last season, Silver 4. If I had to guess, this is a Smurf account. If not, you're just, you stepped it up a notch this season. Good shit, keep it up. You should be fine. You'll continue to climb. Ouch, my balls. Man, some of these names. Silver 3 player, a lot of games on the season, 54% win rate. Unfortunately, I won't be able to offer a whole lot because this is not a support main. And as I mentioned, I don't like to give advice when I don't feel like my advice will actually be useful. I could sit here and pretend like I knew what I was talking about and talk about your Irelia build and your Silas build and stuff like that. But I would be lying because I don't know these champions a whole lot. This also looks like a boosted account, though, by the way, because how do you have this many games in Silver, but have a 82% win rate, 76% win rate, so like in smurfing while doing so. How is this not just a boosted account, come to think of it? Wait a second. This looks like what? Either that or someone is just for funning half the time, running it down, and then other times actually playing the game. This is so confusing. And then you even look at like the recent games, just a huge win streak, MVP in like all of these games, just permanently stomping everybody. Wait, is this? How do you go from 1-8 as any support, 1-12, 2-8, 2-9, and all of a sudden you learned how to play there as Silas Irelia? Is this not just a boosted account or account currently getting boosted? I mean, 42% win rate with a 1-7 KDA on Shaco into a 4 KDA average 13 kills, 9 KDA average 50 kills. Okay, this is just a Smurf account. Never mind. Someone's trolling me. We move on. IG Nazius, I think I pronounced that right. Not a whole lot to work with here. Main piece of advice, my man, just play some more games if you're looking to climb. Silver last season. Nothing really going on this season. Looked like maybe you just started. Yeah, it looks like you just started your rank climb this season. So from what I can tell here, Annie's a good pick. You played it once. Continue to pick this. It's in a really good spot right now. Shen is not a support. I would really recommend. You don't see it a whole lot, and that's for a good reason. Other than that, not a whole lot for me to work with here. I'll take a look at your Annie build, but it looks pretty standard for the most part. We are rushing Shreles into Rylai's. Chemtech is fine after that. I think most people will just continue to build full AP after the Rylai's. This is all looking good. Not a whole lot to work with here. Happy to help you out again in the future if you have some more games under your belt so we can take a look at your champion pool and stuff like that. Leave or lose Silver 1 player, 86 games on the season. Wukong one trick. Not a whole lot to offer you here, man. I'm a support main, but on top of that, you're one trick. So it doesn't matter what I tell you about your champion pool. Your champion pool consists of Wukong, and then a little bit more Wukong. So keep doing your thing, my man. You'll keep climbing. Up next, we got the King. King, Platinum 3, 47% win rate. Again, I feel the pain, my man. You are a mid lane main, though. Not a whole lot to offer you. Looks like the Ahri's you're having success with the Ahri, success with the Vex. Maybe a lot of these other, actually come to think of it, you have a 47% win rate. So if you have a 56 and a 70% win rate on your top 2 champions, this should not be your win rate. So narrow down the champion pool. That's my main piece of advice to you. Ahri, Vex, if you're a mid lane main, you should probably have some AD in there. That would be my advice to you. Salt Fry, we're going to skip over this. Bronze 1 player from last season. No games played recently in ranked. Not a whole lot to work with. And the last one is Sarius. Ending it on a bit of a spicy one here. Is this the highest ranked player we've had? Diamond 3 player. I love the dedication, over 200 games on the season, or right about 200. Unfortunately, a jungle main, so not a whole lot I can offer here. I'll sort through real quick just to see if there's any support games played recently, but there really isn't. Looks like you're playing a lot of Evelyn. That's good. Stick to a small champion pool, but I think adding one more thing other than the Evelyn would be pretty helpful. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Rapid fire op.gg reviews. Tried to be helpful, but also tried to be a little critical if I could. Hopefully, you guys found this helpful.